What's up, YouTube? This is Bystander X79, guys. Today I'm coming to you with my latest deck profile for July 2019. Alright, guys, we are currently in the middle of the off season, alright? Regionals and locals tournament leagues, they're at least a month away from getting started up. And I can tell you right now, it's during this time that road decks really turn around and tend to step forward and take a good look at the meta and say, you know, I can beat that. And you know what? I can tell you right now, this build for Volcanics, yeah, it will do that. Just like its namesake, the Volcano. Volcanics build pressure over the duel, and then they just explode on their opponents repeatedly, wiping their board and hitting them with burn damage. Oh god, I can tell you this right now, this deck can really take your opponent by surprise. Alright? But enough jabbering along. Without further ado, we're going to get right into this deck. Okay? 2 copies of Volcanic Doomfire. Alright, this is the big bad boss monster of the deck. Alright, in order to get him out onto the field, you can special summon this guy by sending a Blaze Accelerator reload from your field to your graveyard to special summon him, which is awesome. He's got a continuous effect while on the field that all your opponent's monsters have to attack him instead of your other monsters, which is great because then they can turn around and go after some of your weaker stun monsters that I have in this deck. Alright? And a really cool, awesome effect is that whenever this guy destroys a monster by battle, sends it to the graveyard, it will wipe all your opponent's monsters off the field and hit them with 500 points of damage each. For each. Awesome, and it's an amazing way to really wipe, not just wipe the board, but actually take a chunk out of your opponent's life points. Alright. 3 copies of Volcanic Rocket. This is very standard. Whenever this guy is summoned, you get to turn around and add a Blaze Accelerator reload from your deck or your graveyard to your hand. Very easy, very simple, awesome effect. Gotta run 3. Alright. Speaking of 3, you also have to run 3 copies of Volcanic Scattershot. Now, this is kind of the linchpin of the whole Volcanic strategy. Alright? If this card is ever sent to the graveyard by the effect of Blaze Accelerator Reload, you can turn around and send the other copies of Volcanic Scattershot from your hand or your deck to your graveyard. And then what happens is that your opponent's board gets nuked. Well, specifically their monsters get nuked. And then they lose 1,500 points of damage. 500 for each Volcanic Scattershot. Alright. 3 copies of Volcanic Shell. Alright. This is basically Blaze Accelerator Reload fodder. What you do is you send it to the graveyard for Blaze Accelerator's Reload's effect to draw a card, and then you can activate Volcanic Shell's effect. Pay 500 life points to basically add another shell from your deck to your hand, thus thinning your deck by 2 cards. Alright. And you'll be getting a lot of different turnaround and effects, pyro monsters into your graveyard, so you're going to want to be able to recycle them. 2 copies of Royal Firestorm Guard. Whenever this guy's normal summon, basically you can turn around and get, what is it? 4 pyro monsters. I keep confusing this between 4 and 5, but I'm sorry about that. But it's 4 pyro monsters. And then you can turn around, shuffle them back into your deck, draw 2 cards, which is just awesome. Alright. 2 copies of Fossil Dyna Passivio. Alright. When this guy's face up in the field, neither player can special summon monsters, so you want to bring this guy out after you establish the board, especially one with Doomfire. Alright. Cool thing about it is you can set this guy as well, let your opponent go off. When they attack the monster, this card flips up, wipes out all your opponent's monsters by destroying them. Very cool. It's got that little tricky flip effect as well. Alright. Alright. Thunder King Rhino basically prevents your opponent from adding cards from their deck to the hand, which is very important. Basically, it denies your opponent access to their resources, which can really turn around and help out this deck. Not only that, you can tribute this card and basically take care of an inherit special summon, basically Synchro, Xyz, Pendulum, Link Summon, stuff like that. Alright, that's it for the monsters. For the spells, this deck needs a lot of help getting started, so you need to give it as many summons as possible. So you're running 3 copies of double summon. Gives you an extra normal summon per turn. Very good. 1 copy of Foolish Burial. Get your shell into the graveyard so you can get going even faster. 2 copies of Foolish Burial Goods. Helps you get your Blaze Accelerator Reload into the graveyard, which is very important because it does have an in-graveyard effect that can really help turn the duel around in your favor. Alright. 3 copies of Magic Planter. Oh, this card is just so great. This deck runs a lot of continuous traps, and this card allows you to send one of those continuous traps from the field to the graveyard, draw 2 cards. Extra consistency helps. Freeing up the back row also helps as well. Alright, now this deck, even though this deck has an extra deck, it really doesn't care that much. It doesn't summon from it a lot. So 3 copies of Pot of Extravagance just to turn around and give you those extra draws to see your pieces, to build your field. Now, to help hold your opponent down, 2 copies of Anti-Spell Fragrance. Really great. Can really mess up spell-based decks. Can't tell you more. Slows them down to a crawl. Alright. You need 3 copies of Blaze Accelerator Reload. Alright, I discussed this first effect, discarding a Volcanic card from your hand to turn around and draw a card, but also has a secondary effect while it's in the graveyard. You can banish this card, and then you can send a Volcanic monster, specifically Scattershot, from your deck to your graveyard, and that will trip off Scattershot's effect, which will send other Scattershots to the graveyard to basically nuke your opponent's monsters and hit them with 1500 points of damage. So multiple ways of getting Scattershot off with this deck. Alright. One way to really hold your opponent down. There can only be one. I mean, this card plus Fossil Dyna is pretty much game in a lot of cases because they're not going to be able to, your opponent's not going to be able to do anything against this deck then. And then one little tech card I'd love to run in this deck. I have 3 copies of the Transmigration Prophecy. Alright, now the reason why this card is so good is if your opponent decides to try to get cheeky with you and try to use Call by the Grave on one of your Scattershots or your shells, you can just chain this card to to their Call by and get your Scattershot or shell out of the graveyard and back into your deck. A little bit more recursion can help you recur any card in the graveyard back into your deck, which is just huge. Get your traps back, get your spells back. Just awesome. Alright, that's it for the main deck. For the extra deck, alright, the extra deck, run a lot of rank 4s here. Alright, typically you want to be getting these cards onto the field before you drop Dyna. Alright, so Castell's pretty awesome. Can flip a monster face down or use a compulsory evacuation device effect. Daigasto Emerald, one of the better cards that just came off the ban list. Recycle stuff back into your deck, draw a card, which is just huge. Exiton. Another board wipe in the deck full of board wipes. What's one more? Alright. Guy Like a Cowboy, help you burn for game. The Utopia package to help swing for game. Number 41 to help the stall. Number 103, I actually like number 103 primarily because, especially if your opponent likes to modify attack, this card can actually pop monsters that have their attack but modified, and then you actually draw a card on top of that, which is just huge. Alright, Time Thief Redoer. Oh, keep away with cards from your opponent's deck. Oh, so good. So good. Alright, for some links, I have Link 2, I have basically Hida. Alright. Lamphoricus. I mean, you could replace Hida and Lamphoricus with a pair of Dual Chimeras if you want to. Run a Nightmare package. Typically, Cerberus, Phoenix, Unicorn, Special Summon Monsters, back row, and it spins off any card that's in the field. And then if you get it into a Link 4, I run Borreload. You can run Borrelsword if you have it. Appaloosa is another great card just to turn around and add a little extra negates and pressure onto the field if you have access to it as well. So basically any Link 4 that you feel that really would turn around and help this deck out, throw it in its place. Okay? Alright. Guys, that is it for my Volcanic deck profile for July 2019. As always, guys, give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. If you want to see more content like this on my channel, make sure to subscribe. Enable notifications, including the YouTube notifications, so you don't miss a single upload on my channel. Guys, check out the description box below. Find the invite link to my Discord. Join the conversation. We would love to have you. Follow me on Twitter at BystanderX79. And guys, if you really want to help me get this channel off the ground and to insane heights, please consider backing me on Patreon. The money goes to getting me better equipment to really up the level of my content. Alright? So guys, until next time, as always, peace.